Welcome to, MLM Report. Uh, a kind of semi-monthly report on things that have gone on and are going on that have caught my attention. I think probably should catch yours. We're going to start out today talking about Major League Baseball trying to destroy the sport. We're going to talk about a man's career being destroyed in hockey. And then we'll talk a little bit about cricket, USA Cricket, and the tournament that they're in the Caribbean. I'm Ken Lammers. This is Minor League Matters, and let's get cracking. Okay, so the first story I've already done a rant on earlier, and I will probably hit this more in depth a little bit further down the road. But here's what we've got. Major League Baseball wants to destroy its lowest levels. It has rookie league teams out west and in the Appalachian area, and it has short season A teams out west, and New York Penn League, which is in the New York Penn area primarily, Pennsylvania area, although there's one team in Vermont, etc. They want to just absolutely destroy all those teams and force the other leagues, minor leagues that are affiliated, to reshuffle, and they want to get rid of teams. For instance, I don't know what Cincinnati's done to raise the ire of the major leagues with its baseball affiliate teams, but it would lose Greenville, its rookie league team, which of course all rookie league teams have voluntary affiliations. Not all teams have them. It would lose Chattanooga, its AA affiliate, and it would lose the Advanced A affiliate Daytona in Florida. 3 of Cincinnati's teams gone. A whole bunch of other teams are going to disappear. Basically, baseball is going to be killed in Kentucky, West Virginia, Vermont, huge swaths of the West, and eastern Tennessee east of Knoxville, pretty much. It's just going to be gone. And I don't know if they think that this is going to drive people to the major leagues or they just don't care. I'm leaning towards they just don't care. It makes short-term financial sense and is part of Major League Baseball doing things to destroy its overall national fan base, which will end up, in the end, baseball is going to fade out of the big three. For some reason, this is being driven, as best I can tell, by Houston, and they claim to have the backing of all the major leagues. But it's really being driven by Houston, and it's a lot, in large part, it's jealousy over the Yankees being able to put more minor league teams out there than anybody else and develop talent, and maybe some other teams that do the same sort of thing. It is also being driven by the fact that Major League Baseball pays all of the players in affiliated ball, and it has been paying them dirt for a long time, and is now being pushed to pay them more. And if it pays them more, but it cuts out all these teams, then it won't have to, it'll still make more money, right? Losing entire leagues of players that you are responsible for paying for, tends to mean that in the short term, you'll have money in your pocket. In the long term, 20, 30 years, fans will be gone, but, next 5, you'll probably have a little bit more money. Good call. There's a lot of people out there that think that the Major League Baseball is currently just bluffing to get an advantage in their negotiations. And I don't think they are. I think they're just being stupid and short-sighted, really. We'll see how it turns out. I'm going to keep an eye on this, and I'll probably do a more in-depth talk about it in the future, but that's what's going on in baseball right now. In hockey, there's been the destruction of a man's livelihood and career. Don Cherry is, you hear Canadians talk about national treasure, et cetera, et cetera. He was kind of the grandfather of hockey. He appeared every weekend on Hockey Night in Canada. And, he was that kind of curmudgeonly older guy who just said what he said. And he had another guy next to him who kind of corralled him in a little bit. But he was the guy who said what he said. Pretty much the Canadian version of a shock jock, right? He said it even though it wasn't polite to say it. And he said it in ways that weren't necessarily the most polite in the world. And he made the mistake of saying two words while he was trying to tell people that even if you didn't serve in the military, you should wear poppies, which they wear there to show. It's like a Memorial Day thing here in America. They wear poppies to show memory of people who lost their lives in combat for Canada. He was trying to say everybody, whether or not they have been in and served or not, should wear a poppy, right? Good, sentiment, showing respect for those who have served and respect for what they gave up and what they did, except he said it in a way that was seen to besmirch those who were immigrants, and he also besmirched those who were Torontians, whoever, people who were from Toronto. And while he was jumped on for the immigrant thing, I suspect that the Toronto thing may have had a big thing too to do with it, because they were all over him. And he lost his job. And Canadians everywhere should be ashamed. It's just ridiculous. Two words in, 15, 20 years he's been doing this. Not appropriate to throw him out with the trash. Of course, he's not been liked for a long time by a fair number of people who just don't like him because he's not a Stalinist. And this, unfortunately, has led to me, I've stopped listening to or watching the Steve Dangle podcast. I still watch Steve Dangle's LFRs, his reactions to whether or not Toronto's won or lost, because those can be entertaining. But I had really gotten into watching and listening to the Steve Dangle podcast until this happened, and they just stopped. Their next broadcast had nothing to do with what was going on with Toronto, with sports, or, the Maple Leafs or the Marlies or anything else having to do with the NHL. It was a hit piece on Don Cherry. And because he's been around forever and he is who he is, and he said things plainly the way he feels about them, there was plenty to hit him on, right? Everybody knew this. Well, they were helping with everybody else to stir the pot. And then, of course, he gets fired. The next podcast they do is just basically, not the guy who's Steve Dangle. I can't remember what Steve Dangle's real name is, but it's not Steve Dangle himself. But there's a guy in there, and if you want to watch it, you can watch it. I don't recommend it. Who's just absolutely chortling over the fact that they've cost this older man, an icon. They've torn him down and cost him his job and destroyed his career. He's just absolutely over the moon about this. And he does everything but say that we are on the right side of history. The old Stalinistic quote. Well, actually, pretty much does say that. We're on the right side of history. And he's just thrilled to death by this. And again, can't, the fact that an older guy uses terms that you don't agree with doesn't mean he should be canceled and that you should be happy about it. And you're a sports podcast. What are you doing trying to tear this guy down over your political beliefs anyway? It's not the place to talk about your political beliefs. Holy cow. And okay, it's gone. I just stopped listening right there, which is a shame, because Steve Dangle and the, I don't know what whether Canadians say African American or black, but Steve Dangle and the African American guy actually put out some pretty interesting stuff. Oh, by the way, for those of you who don't know, Don Cherry's launched a podcast called Grapevine. Uh, I'm sure you can get it on Stitcher and everywhere else that you can get podcasts at. I know that you can get it on YouTube because I subscribe to it on YouTube. Although it's not a video cast, it's just a picture of him and the audio going on. So I urge you all to go and listen to Don Cherry, who has some interesting things to say and is actually a pretty interesting guy, despite the fact that they've done everything they can to cancel him. Beyond that, in hockey news that I care about, Carolina Hurricanes are doing great. Now their last 10 games are 5 for 5, but overall they've won 14, lost 8, and have won OTL. And that's a good record, and any other year they'd be doing really well with that, except for the fact that in a Metropolitan Division with them are the Capitals, who are just eating everybody alive, and the Islanders, who are even more impressive. The Islanders, however, are in second place right now. I think, though, that they've got 4 games in hand, so I expect at some point they will pass the Capitals if they keep playing the way they are, which, I mean, they won 8 out of the last 10 games, and the 2 they lost were OTLs. So the Islanders are on fire. The Capitals, we'll see how well they hold. And the Hurricanes are just playing really well, but they're not playing, above and beyond outstanding well the way that the Islanders and the Capitals are so far. So, and by the way, the Hurricanes have 2 games in hand against the Capitals too, but they are, let me see how many points they back. They're 8 points back. So even if they win both of them, the Capitals don't gain any ground from here on out. Lose to, still not going to be there. Still, it's shaping up to be a fun race in the Metropolitan. And if you don't have NHL online, NHL TV, I suggest you get it because I think it's going to be a fun year. So far, it's been a fun year to watch hockey. And that's my hockey update for the week. Oh, by the way, if you're from the North Carolina area and you want really into hockey and you want to watch it over your Thanksgiving break, Thursday you can go watch the Carolina Thunderbirds in Winston-Salem. Yes, Thanksgiving Thursday. You can watch them at 7:30 at night. They'll be playing the Battle Creek Rumblebees on Thanksgiving night. So eat your third, plate of turkey at your Thanksgiving lunch and take your nap through the sports and all that and get back up in time and go watch some hockey in Winston-Salem. It cost you about $9 for a ticket on the glass, and it's a blast, right? You get out of the whole thing, even if you buy some food or a souvenir or two, probably with $20. Then Friday, you can go watch the Carolina Hurricanes play in Raleigh-Durham area, and just the opposite, right? Probably end up coming out of there with somewhere between $150 to $200 out because, everybody enjoys going and sitting in seats that are that thin, built for people from the 13th century when we were all 4'5" and didn't have much food to eat. But you can go watch them play, and it should be a blast. And then on Saturday, you can go to Fayetteville and watch the Fayetteville Marksmen play. And been there before. Nice stadium. Probably cost you a little bit more for seats than, probably $20-some for a seat there. And you end up, if you buy a little bit of food and something, getting out of there with $40 having been spent. So you can hit all 3 different levels and have a blast in North Carolina this next week. I don't think I'm going to be able to pull it off, but I encourage you to, and go enjoy some hockey. Now we're going to move on to cricket. Yay! And now all my American listeners and watchers have just clicked off. Cricket? What's cricket? That's that sound you hear when there's nothing else going on. Cricket, 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 cricket. Yeah. I hope that carries off to other cultures and other people. I know in America we think of it that way. Anyway, been watching. It's the regional Super 50s, and the United States has been over and playing in Trinidad, basically, is where it's at, and not doing too well. Now, I've been watching them all, except, of course, I missed the one game they win, I miss, right? They end up beating West Indies, the Windies emerging team, which is basically their rookies slash minor league guys, right? The U.S. beat them. Other than that, it's lost to Guyana. It's lost to the emerging team once. It's lost to the Windward Isles, although the game I watched today, or watched primarily last night, and had to catch the end of today, um, they did a pretty good job of almost getting there. And as one of the announcers said many times, if they have played harder at the beginning to get more runs, they probably would have won it, but they didn't. It is watching U.S. and these other teams, which are clearly second-rate teams, play, um, is kind of painful. So once you've seen things like the Cricket World Cup and that sort of thing, but I've been following them, and the announcers, Caribbean announcers, are very nice and very polite. Although they did have a lot of fun at the beginning, pointing out that almost none of the players on the American team, the U.S. team, are from the U.S., which is an interesting point. They got past that after a while. And of course, there's this one guy who's announcing, the only guy from the U.S. who's announcing, apparently from New York. I say this stereotypically based on an accent. For all I know, he could be from Alabama or Nevada, but the voice sounds like he's from New York or somewhere in that vicinity. It's been fun to watch. Not so great results for the United States, but it's been an interesting watch. If you're interested in cricket in the United States, it's probably too late by the time you watch this. It'll probably be too late to watch this particular tournament. But in December, mid to late December, just before Christmas, they're going to have the U.S. Open, and you could probably, if you're anywhere near Florida, go watch it. Unfortunately, they insist on having these in Florida. Hard to get through for a lot of us, of course, who are just merely curious. I can't complain too much because if they weren't playing in Florida, they'd probably play in New York, which I don't understand why they don't play in New York during the summers as opposed to Florida. But I know there's a field in North Carolina. Although looking on Google Earth, I think it would probably need stands put up. Temporary stands aren't that hard to build, but they don't seem interested. They want to put it in Florida, Florida, and Florida, right? So if you're interested, go watch it in Florida and have fun, guys. And I think that's it for today. I think I've covered pretty much everything that I've got to get off my chest and I thought was interesting. And besides which, as I look at my watch, the Carolina Hurricanes just started their match, so I want to go watch some hockey. And with all that, folks, let me say everything I normally say at this point. If you like this, subscribe, right? And hit the bell wherever the bell is so that you get notice when I put something up. It's one of those things where I don't put things up every day or every week, so you might want to get notified if you're really interested. And if you want to contact me, you can direct message me at MLeagueM on Twitter, MLeagueM, or you can send me email at MyLeagueMatters on Google email, Gmail. Other than that, comments below. It's always fun to sort through the comments. And that's it for today, folks. I'm just going to say what I always say. Go watch some minor league sports or major league sports or sports that really aren't established well yet. Go have some fun with sports and explore what's out there other than the behemoths of football and basketball. Have fun, folks, and live a good life. Masalama, y'all.